Hey, I'm Tony Moreland, and this is POW, Podcast of Wisdom from the Samsung Developer Program, where we talk about the latest tech, new trends, and give insight into all of the opportunities available for developers looking to create for Samsung. On today's show, I interview Ashiq Nazir, editor-in-chief for the website IoT Gadgets. What started out as a small blog related to the Tizen operating system, Ash and his team have built a super successful news and information-focused website featuring articles on the latest software, hardware, and all things internet, including a Facebook group dedicated to Samsung smartwatches that has over 75,000 members. Enjoy. So tell me, who is Ashiq Nazir?
So that's quite a deep question, but I'm going to keep it quite light and, not too philosophical at the moment. But Ashiq Nazir, I'm basically a network engineer. That's my background. And I'm from Manchester in England, as you can probably tell from the accent.
Yeah, I can. Now, have you lived in Manchester your whole life?
Yeah, born and bred.
So when you were in school, did you study network engineering?
So I studied, wait for it, the mathematics, statistics, and computing. If you've got dentures in, you'd probably spit them out by then. But it was really my work life, the jobs that I went into after that. So I did a lot of IT support. I did network implementation, network design, network infrastructure, and lots of other networking related jobs. That was me fully immersed in that field.
So you learned after school when you really dove into the workforce. That's where you got all of your experience. So when you're not network engineering, what do you like to do for fun?
So this is one thing that not a lot of people will kind of understand, but I like fitness. I like training, and I don't work on the guns or the pythons as much as people think, but I have got a modest pair, And so for anybody who doesn't know, pythons, guns, that obviously refers to your arms, which is what most guys, they love building the arms. And, they'll neglect the rest of the body. But the arms will look phenomenal.
Yeah, so, which is I'm kind of thinking that's not actually your typical engineer, the physique of the typical engineer. I think you stand out a little bit at some of these conferences.
Once upon a time when I started doing a lot of this thing, and IT support was once the forte of the nerd.
Yes.
the computer geek in the closet. You only let him out when your computer's dying or near death, and then you lock him away after he's fixed your computer. And sure. I broke that mold, I can tell you that. So even a lot of the conferences that I attended over the years, I did stand out a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to talk about IoT Gadgets. So IoT Gadgets is a blog that you run that I know came out of your excitement for Tizen OS. So can you tell me how you first discovered Tizen and why you became so passionate about it?
Okay, now. So this is a little bit of a big question. Forgive me, I'm going to have to expand on this slightly.
Sure.
Once upon a time, there was an operating system called MIMO, and there was this mobile phone that they brought out, which was the Nokia N900. Now, this was one of the first Linux-based true phones. And there was lots of things that you could do. It had a built-in terminal. It had a real web browser that supported Flash. Now, most people won't really know what that entails. But once upon a time, you couldn't play Flash animations in a mobile web browser. It was just unheard of. The likes of Apple and other things, you could not do their things. So I started following this operating system, and I started promoting it on Twitter. And, unbeknown to me, I became sort of a bit of an evangelist. And before I knew it, I had sort of 6,000 people that were following my Twitter account.
Wow.
And and then, I was invited over to a conference in Dublin. Now, and that was the point where MIMO was becoming MeeGo. And this was when Intel partnered with Nokia. And then it was a natural fit to me to follow on to MeeGo. And there was lots of wonderful things that operating system could do. Unfortunately, there was a change of direction and MeeGo was discontinued. But then Intel continued with it and Samsung came on board. And what we found was Tizen, which was favored by the Linux Foundation. Now, for myself, I'm one of the few people that have traveled the world to almost every single Tizen conference and summit all over the world, being involved in Tizen and helping promote it. Now, at that time, I started a website called Tizen Experts, and that was to obviously promote Tizen.
And about what year was that? Did you started Tizen Experts?
That was back in 2011.
So Tizen Experts, that's the site that you started. How did you go from Tizen Experts to specifically IoT Gadgets?
Well, at the time with Tizen Experts, we covered a lot of blog articles about Tizen, SDKs, IDEs. So anybody who doesn't understand, so SDKs, software development kit, IDEs, integrated development environment. And then what we wanted to do was broaden a bit of the coverage of Tizen and things that we were involved in. And then in 2018, we started IoT Gadgets and started more doing some blockchain, cryptocurrency stuff, and more stuff related around IoT or the Internet of Things.
Got it. Okay. So obviously you've got a lot of writers that are writing for IoT Gadgets. I'm assuming you've got some staff writers. I actually did understand, though, that you do welcome guest writers. So can you give me a little bit of a background about your writers? And if someone wants to submit an article, how do they become a guest writer for IoT Gadgets?
So basically, we've had lots of writers come and go over the years now. And what we've found is a lot of writers tend to be found on IoT Gadgets. So even Samsung themselves, they have hired a few of our writers over the years as well.
Really? So they're being discovered on IoT Gadgets.
That's it. So we welcome people joining us. And, if people have got the passion, a love for writing and computing, by all means, they can contact us. And an easy way to join in is if you go onto the website, which is iotgadgets.com, and just click on write to us, or write for us, should I say.
Okay.
And you're straight through to us.
That's excellent. So tell me personally, what are some of your favorite topics to cover?
So for myself, we've been very much involved in a lot of smartwatch stuff. So that's a lot of our focus is still smartwatch, based around smartwatches, the apps, the watch faces, software updates, that kind of thing.
Okay. So another thing that I then, when I was doing a little bit of background research on IoT Gadgets, was that you run a pretty big Facebook group that is focused on the Samsung Galaxy Watch. That I think you've got like almost 75,000 members. So talk a little bit about that Facebook group and tell me what it has to offer.
With the figure of 75,000 that you mentioned, we're up to, actually, let me just have a quick look. We're actually over 77,000 now.
Really?
Time doesn't wait for nobody, and neither does our Facebook group.
Wow.
So it's a great place for people to meet each other who are obviously smartwatch enthusiasts, and developers to showcase their apps, showcase their watch faces, and get relevant feedback, because we all need to know what works, what doesn't work. And it's an excellent place for people to promote themselves.
That's wonderful. I mean, because I know that's one of the challenges, when I was developing some apps was, you've created this great app, but then how do you get people to discover it? And so always trying to find different ways to make yourself known out there is a huge challenge. So, knowing that you've got this Facebook group with such a huge active community, that's going to be a huge benefit for developers just starting out. So that's absolutely amazing to hear. So tell me, what's in the future for IoT Gadgets?
Well, down the road, we're actually hoping to start doing a lot more wearable reviews. And obviously at the moment, people are staying at home a fair bit for some reason. Not sure why. And we're going to start doing lots more home fitness apps. And for myself, I've got the background. I've got the perfect thing to sell that because, hey, I love fitness and I love watches. So just follow me.
That's great. So tell me, what are some of the benefits for developers looking to create apps using Tizen?
So Tizen, one of the propositions right from the outset was this was going to be an operating system that you can use on a variety of devices, but on smartwatches or on the mobile side, it has excellent battery life. Now, for a lot of people, they might not comprehend what brilliant battery life means until they actually try using a device. When they're trying to use some fancy app, and they can only get half the day.
Sure.
So that was something that was brilliant right from the start, and you've got solid performance. Mm-hmm. Where, like, say, for my smartwatch, I've never really known it to crash or have any issues. It just performs. And that's what you want from a smartwatch. You want it to perform. You don't want it to be another bane of your existence.
Sure.
You don't want to be on the phone to tech support. Like, hey, what's wrong? You never want to talk to tech support. You want to break that relationship. And that's what I love about it.
That's great. That's great. So you've been doing this, IoT Gadgets for a while. I know that you've been experiencing a lot of different Tyson apps. So you got to tell me, what is your favorite type of Tyson app? What's surprised and impressed you?
So for myself, I'm going to go back to a bit of that health and fitness stuff. So obviously with Samsung, you've got the Samsung Health app that integrates very nicely with your Titan smartwatch. And a lot of your apps that count your calories, that count your steps, all that information then gets stored into Samsung Health. So for myself, I love that thing of being able to see things on my watch, and then it's all collated and it's available at my fingertips to see how fast I was and what was my heart rate. And from that data, you can then obviously analyze your performance and figure out, hey, what do you do next?
Exactly. That's great. So can you tell me, do you have any ideas of a type of app that you would love to see a developer create?
You're going to call me boring. I'm just going to say more fitness apps. But so I think it'd be great for having fitness apps where two watches could actually chat to each other. So, for yourself, if you're doing a particular workout, somebody else is doing a particular workout, you can actually, it'd be great to see two apps showing you performing against somebody in real time. Mm-hmm. I'm not, obviously the screen is really small on a smartwatch, but just some small metrics that can show you who's beating who, and I think that'd be quite exciting.
That would be. So I was doing a little bit of a research on this topic recently, and saw that it was interesting. A lot of the community, when it comes to using a smartwatch as it relates to fitness, they don't want to be told that, hey, great job, you've walked so many steps today, or great job, you've got out of your chair, or you're doing exercise. So the information that they want to receive is that, hey, it's time to get moving, that you haven't reached your goal. So it's more of that motivation. So it's not the encouragement that awesome, you did good today. It's more like, get out of the seat and let's get rolling. So what's your thought on that sort of approach with an app?
So with that sort of functionality, we've actually got that in the Titan smartwatches. So every periodically, if you haven't moved for a while, it'll actually tell you, hey, get up, do something, and it'll give you there'll be little suggestions that it'll show that it might want you to swing your torso around, or stand up, or flap your arms around. And the whole idea is that it can motivate you to start moving, because they say a journey of 1,000 steps starts with one. So even if you get up and you start doing something, that is obviously a step in the right direction. So that's built into the OS. So something that builds further onto that, another app that takes it another step further. So then it can collate the amount of steps you've possibly done that day and compared it to other days, and just giving you a similar sort of or slightly more encouragement to get you moving.
Exactly.
I think that'd be really good.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So I know that IoT Gadgets has put out a lot of different articles, a lot of different blogs. Can you tell me which article or blog that you're most proud of?
So I love the excitement in the Titan community of late being on devices. So we get a huge amount of interest in upcoming devices. We're really proud of the fact that we are one of the blogs that come first with all the latest information of, what's happening out there and what are the new devices that are coming out. So, soon there might be some more Galaxy Watch devices coming out. So you just have to go to iotgadgets.com and you'll find out more. That's a shameless plug. So, hey.
I love it. So, doing these for all these years, I know that you've had to face some challenges. So talk a little bit about some of the challenges that IoT Gadgets has had to face.
Wow. So I think one of the biggest ones that we were fortunate enough to face, and there's not a lot of websites that have this sort of issue, is the amount of traffic we get. So initially, like any other blog, you set yourself up with some modest servers out there and it's able to handle your traffic. And then we'd put some news out there and bang, the website's dead. There's just way too much, traffic coming in, too many visitors. So then, you upgrade the server and then next time you have some big news, bang, that one's dead. And you think, really? Wow, this is deja vu. So we've had that situation. Unfortunately or fortunately,
sure.
It's always good in the blogging world to get lots of traffic. That, there's so many times we had to upgrade ourselves to get to the point where we can click something and we're confident the server's not going to die. I want to say click something, I mean, we're going to publish a particular post and the server's going to be able to handle the traffic. So that's been one, fortunately, that's been one of the biggest hurdles we've had to overcome.
And it's obviously a good challenge to have to face. I mean,
yeah.
Getting that sort of traffic.
So, it's one of them things you're definitely doing something right if you've got that problem.
Yeah. So tell me, what is the best way for people to contact IoT Gadgets? I know you'd mentioned the website. Are there any other ways that people can contact IoT Gadgets?
Yes, certainly. So we're obviously on the web. Emails are a very good one. So if you fire off an email to contact@iotgadgets.com, it's a mailbox that's always monitored. We're obviously on social media, which Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and they're all monitored as well.
So tell me what those your social media handles are.
So it's IoT Gadgets across all of them. They're all monitored and you can see you'll hopefully get a reply within 24 hours. Possibly instantly if I'm awake at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wonderful.
Which has happened in the past.
Yes, when you put out a big blog and you're monitoring your servers, I'm sure you're up at all hours at that time.
Well, the world doesn't sleep, unfortunately. So even I've gone to some conferences and I've got introduced to people and they've turned around and say, do you ever sleep? Because they realize what time zone I'm in, what time zone they're in, and the two things don't match.
So then I think what you're saying is that you want a developer to create an app for your smartwatch that says, hey, Ash, it's time to go to sleep now.
Yeah, go to sleep. And it just automatically switches everything off.
That would be nice. So excellent, Ash. It was wonderful chatting with you and getting to know a little bit more about not only you, but also IoT Gadgets. Super excited about what you guys are doing and looking forward to reading some more blogs about upcoming information. So again, thank you very much for being on the podcast today.
Hey, Tony, it's been really great being here. And thanks for having us on and thanks for taking the time. Much appreciated.
Looking to start creating for Samsung? Download the latest tools to code your next app. Or get software for designing apps without coding at all. Sell your apps to the world on the Samsung Galaxy Store. Check out developer.samsung.com today and start your journey with Samsung.
The PAL Podcast is brought to you by the Samsung Developer Program and produced by Tony Moreland.